Hello, welcome to this video where I discuss sequent doctrine with you. So we are done with the introduction, so that was interesting. Please go back and watch those videos if you're interested. Let's jump straight to the poem. Pages from a prehistoric period. An archaic manuscript, a collection of palm leaves made impermeable to water, fire, and air by some specific unknown process is before the writer's eye. On the first page is an immaculate white disc within a dull black background. On the following page, the same disc, but with a central point. The first the student knows to represent cosmos in eternity before the reawakening of still slumbering energy, the emanation of the word in later systems. The point in the hitherto immaculate disk, space and eternity in Pralaya denotes the dawn of differentiation. It is the point in the mundane egg. The germ within the latter, which will become the universe, the boundless, periodical cosmos, this germ being latent and active, periodically and by turns. The one circle is divine unity, from which all proceeds, whither all returns. Its circumference, a forcibly a limited symbol in view of the limitation of the human mind, indicates the abstract, ever incognizable presence, and in its plane, the universal soul, although the two are one. Only the face of the disk, being white and the ground all around black, shows clearly that its plane is the only knowledge, dim and hazy though it still is, that is attainable by man. It is on this plane that the manvantaric manifestations begin. Thought. For it is in this soul that slumbers during the pralaya, the divine thought, wherein lies conceived the plan for every future cosmogony and theogony. So important. It is the one life, eternal, invisible, yet omnipresent, without beginning or end, yet periodical in its regular manifestations, between which periods reigns the dark mystery of non-being, unconscious, yet absolute consciousness, unrealizable, yet the one self-existing reality, truly a chaos to the sense, a cosmos to the reason. It is one absolute attribute, which is itself eternal, ceaseless motion, is called in esoteric parlance the great breath, which is the perpetual motion of the universe in the sense of limitless, ever-present space. That which is motionless cannot be divine, but then there is nothing in fact, and reality absolutely motionless within the universal soul. Almost 5 centuries BC. Okay, before this, I just want to read from the footnotes. Plato proves himself an initiate when saying in Cratylus that Dios is derived from the word tive, to move, to run, as the first astronomers who observed the motions of the heavenly bodies called the planets dioi, or the gods. Later the word pronounced another term, the breath of God. Almost 5 centuries BC, Leucippus, the instructor of Democritus, maintained that space was filled eternally with atoms, actuated by ceaseless motion, the latter generating in due course of time, when these atoms aggregated, rotary motion through mutual collisions producing lateral movements. Epicurus and Lucretius taught the same, only adding to the lateral motion of the atoms the idea of affinity and occult teaching. From the beginning of man's inheritance, from the first appearance of the architects of the globe he lives in, the unrevealed deity was recognized and considered under its only philosophical aspect, universal motion, the thrill of the creative breath in nature. Occultism sums up the one existence thus: deity is an arcane living or moving fire, and the eternal witness to this unseen presence, a light, heat, moisture. This trinity including and being the cause of every phenomena in nature. Intracosmic motion is eternal and ceaseless. Cosmic motion, the visible or that which is subject to perception, is finite and periodical. As an eternal abstraction, it is ever present. As a manifestation, it is finite both in the coming direction and the opposite, the two being the alpha and omega of successive reconstructions. Cosmos, the noumena, has naught to do with the causal relations of the phenomenal world. It is only with the reference to the intracosmic soul, the ideal cosmos, in the immutable divine thought, that we may say, it never had a beginning, nor will it have an end. With regard to its body or cosmic organization, though it cannot be said that it had a first, or will ever have a last construction, yet at each new Manvantara its organization may be regarded as the first and the last of its kind, as it evolutes every time on a higher plane. A few years ago only, it was stated, the esoteric doctrine then teaches, like Buddhism and Brahmanism, and even the persecuted Kabbalah, the one infinite and unknown essence exists from all eternity, and in regular and harmonious successions, in either passive or active. In the poetical phraseology of Manu, these conditions are called the day and night of Brahma. The latter is either awake or asleep. The Swabhavikas of philosophers of the oldest school of Buddhism, which still exists in Nepal, speculate but upon the active condition of this essence, which they call Swabhavat, and deem it foolish to theorize upon the abstract and the unknowable power in its passive condition. Hence they are called atheists by both Christian theology and modern scientists, for neither of the two are able to understand the profound logic of their philosophy. How profound is this? The essence, the noumena behind the phenomena is incomprehensible to the human intellect. You cannot call it God the Holy Spirit or God the Father, or it is beyond your understanding. It is not a personal God who passes judgment or who creates Jannat. Okay, this is an incognizable aspect of the absolute. This is the absolute. From the absolute awakens Swabhavat, and the Buddhists ponder upon the nature of Swabhavat. They think it makes no sense to ponder upon the ultimate Parabrahman or the Brahman. Okay. To understand the profound logic of the philosophy, the former will allow of no other God than the personified secondary powers that have blindly worked out the visible universe, and which became with them the anthropomorphic God of the Christians, the Jehovah, roaring amid thunder and lightning. In its term, rationalistic science greets the Buddhists and the Swabhavikas as the positivists of the archaic ages. If we take a one-sided view of the philosophy of the latter, our materialists may be right in their own way. The Buddhists maintain that there is no creator, but an infinitude of creative powers which collectively form the one eternal substance, the essence of which is inscrutable, hence not a subject for speculation for any true philosopher. Socrates invariably refused to argue upon the mystery of universal being, yet no one would have ever thought of charging him with atheism, except those who are hell-bent upon its destruction. Upon inaugurating an active period, says the secret doctrine, an expansion of this divine essence from without the inwardly and from within outwardly occurs in obedience to eternal and immutable law, and the phenomenal or visible universe is the ultimate result of the long chain of cosmical forces thus progressively set in motion. In like manner, when the passive condition is resumed, a contraction of the divine essence takes place, and the previous work of creation is gradually and progressively undone. The visible cosmic universe becomes disintegrated, its material dispersed in darkness, solitary and alone, broods once more over the face of the deep, to use a metaphor from the secret books, which will convey the idea still more clearly. An outbreathing of the unknown essence produces the world, and an inhalation causes it to disappear. This process has been going on from all of eternity, and our present universe is but one of an infinite series which had no beginning and will have no end. So when Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Brahma dreams and the universe is created, Vishnu sustains the universe and Shiva destroys the universe. It is all in equal length. The exhalation of the Swabhavat principle, okay, the male-female deity, the exhalation manifests the universe. And when it's time for the universe to disintegrate, there is an inhalation. You think of space science right now, physicists are saying that the universe is rapidly spreading out. Okay, and this can result in the universe just losing all luminosity and dying because it cannot keep up with its rate of expansion. This echoes. If I had my tablet, I could read out to you certain articles about how the universe is just spreading out, and then there'll just be so much distance between heavenly bodies that ultimately everything will disintegrate. Okay, this is the very opposite of the great crunch, when everything comes together. This is the speeding away of the universe, and that's what's happening. This passage will be explained as far as is possible in the present work, though as it now stands it contains nothing new to the Orientalist. Its esoteric interpretation may contain a good deal which has hitherto remained entirely unknown to the Western student. The first illustration being a plain disc, so a zero, like a zero, okay, a zero. The second one, in the archaic symbol, shows a zero, a disc with a point in it. And this point is the first differentiation in the periodical manifestation of the ever-eternal nature, sexless and infinite. Aditi in that, this is called Aditi in Rig Veda. The point in the disc, or the potential space within the abstract space. In its third stage, the point is transformed into a diameter. Okay, so let me just show you. This was first, second, third. So first we have this, second, okay, when we have Aditi, this dot, a space within a space, then we have the diameter, okay. The diameter, it now symbolizes a divine, immaculate Mother Nature within the all-embracing absolute infinitude, okay. When the diameter line is crossed by a vertical line, so this is the next, okay. Here's the fourth figure, and here we have the mundane cross, the appearance of the mundane cross, okay. Humanity has reached its third root race. It is the sign for the origins of human life to begin. When the circumference disappears and leaves only the cross, it is a sign that the fall of man into matter is accomplished. The cross. That's why Jesus, the Christos, was crucified on the cross. And now the disintegration of spirit into the 3D world is complete. Okay. Okay. The fourth race begins. So with the cross, the age of Pisces, the age of Jesus Christ, we have the proper beginning of the fourth race. The cross within a circle symbolizes the pure pantheism. When the cross left uninscribed, it became phallic. It had the same and yet other meanings as a Tau inscribed within a circle. So this is the Tau. Okay, so this is the Tau, right? This speaks of phallic regeneration, of procreation, how we understand procreation. Okay, this same thing, the Tau and the Thor's hammer and the Jaina cross, or the swastika within a circle. Okay, that means man has fallen into matter, spirit has fallen into matter. Okay, by the third symbol, the circle divided in two by the horizontal line of the diameter, this one, this is our third symbol that we have. The first manifestation of creative, still passive because feminine nature was meant. So this is the absolute Venus. We have an awakening of sorts androgynous. From here we have the awakening of the feminine, right? The first shadowy perception of man connected with procreation is feminine, because man knows his mother more than his father. Hence female deities were more sacred than the male. Nature is therefore feminine and to a degree objective and tangible. And the spirit principle which fructifies it is concealed. By adding to the circle with the horizontal line in it, a perpendicular line, the Tau was formed. Okay, and this was the Tau, and if you take the circle out, you have a T. Okay, the Tau. So this is T. This T is the oldest form of the letter, the Tau, and it was the glyph of the third root race to the day of its symbolic fall. That is when the separation of sexes by natural evolution took place. When the figure became this, okay, this was sexual procreation, right? It's the reverse of the third, when the feminine awakens. Remember, the circle or sexless life modified or separated, a double glyph symbol. With the sub-races of our fifth race, it became in symbology the Hebrew Zakar and Negiba of the first formed races. And then it changed into the Egyptian cross. Okay, the Egyptian cross is quite interesting. This Venus, okay, kind of like Venus. Oh, sorry, I think the Egyptian cross is more a bit like this. So I just drew Venus for you, but this is the Egyptian cross, okay? And this is Venus. Okay. So we have basically now the emblem of life, the Egyptian emblem of life, and then it falls into the sign of Venus. So this is feminine, pure feminine. And then comes the swastika, Thor's hammer, or the hermetic cross. Now entirely separated from its circle, thus fully phallic, pure phallicism. The esoteric symbol of Kali Yuga is a 5-pointed star reversed. So we have the 5-pointed star, we have a reversed. Okay, that's the sign of Kali Yuga. Right? The sign of human sorcery. So we know Kali Yuga is a time of great devastation, great issues, problems, and with its 2 pointed horns turned heavenwards, a position every occultist will recognize as one of the left hand and used in ceremonial magic. So this was the fall of humanity into sorcery. Okay, not necessarily good, bad, dark, let's not go there. It is hoped that during the perusal of this work, the erroneous ideas of the public in general with regards to pantheism will be modified. It is wrong and unjust to regard the Buddhists and Advaitin occultists as atheists. Okay? If not all of them philosophers, they are at any rate all logicians. The objections and arguments being based on strict reasoning. Indeed, if the Parabrahm of the Hindus may be taken as a representative of the hidden and nameless deities of other nations, this absolute principle will be found to be the prototype from which all others were copied. Parabrahm is not God, because it is not a God. It is that which is supreme, not supreme which is Paravara, explains Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, it is supreme as cause, not supreme as effect. Okay, it's a cause, it's not an effect. Okay, where is it? Yeah, Parabrahman is simply as a secondless reality, the all-inclusive cosmos, or rather the infinite cosmic space. In the highest spiritual sense, of course, Brahman neuter, being the unchanging, pure, free, undecaying, supreme root, the one true existence. Paramarthika, and the absolute Chit and Chaitanya, intelligence and consciousness, cannot be a cognizer, for that can have no subject of cognition. Can the flame be called the essence of fire? This essence is the life and light of the universe. The visible fire and flame are destruction, death, and evil. Fire and flame destroy the body of an arhat. Their essence makes him immortal. The knowledge of the Absolute Spirit, like the effulgence of the sun, or like the heat and fire, is naught else than the Absolute Essence itself. Says Shankaracharya, it is the spirit of fire, not fire itself. Therefore, the attributes of the latter, heat of flame, are not the attributes of the spirit, but of that of which the spirit is the unconscious cause. It is not the above sentence the true keynote of later Rosicrucian philosophy. Parabrahman is, in short, the collective aggregate of cosmos in its infinity and eternity. The that and this, to which distributive aggregates cannot be applied. In the beginning, this was the self, one only. The great Shankaracharya explains that this referred to the universe, or Jagat. The sense of the words in the beginning, meaning before the reproduction of the phenomenal universe. Therefore, when the pantheists echo the Upanishads, which state as in the secret doctrine that this cannot create, they do not deny a creator, or rather a collective aggregate of creators, but only refuse very logically to attribute creation, and especially formation, something finite, to an infinite principle. So, very poetic. With them, Parabrahman is a passive, because an absolute cause, the unconditioned mukta. It is only limited omniscience and omnipotence that are refused to the latter, because there are still attributes as reflected in man's perception, And because Parabrahman, being the supreme all, the ever invisible spirit and soul of nature, changeless and eternal, can have no attributes, absoluteness very naturally precluding any idea of the finite or conditioned from being connected with it. And if the Vedantin postulates attributes as belonging simply to its emanation, calling it Ishvara plus Maya, and avidya, agnosticism and nescience rather than ignorance, it is difficult to find any atheism in this conception. Since there can be neither two infinites nor two absolutes in a universe supposed to be boundless, this self-existence can hardly be conceived of as creating personally. So this is what the occultists deny, that God cannot be the supreme. He is a part. He's an essence of that. He is a cause of that causelessness. Okay, but that causeless absolute Parabrahman cannot create. Okay, which is this. Okay. In its most simplistic symbology, right? With them, Parabrahman is passive because an omnipotence that are absolute cause, unconditioned mukta, it is only limited omniscience and omnipotence that are referred to the latter because these are the attributes. And Parabrahman being supreme cause, I read that. Absoluteness very naturally precluding any idea of the finite or conditioned form from being connected with it. And if the Vedantin postulates attributes as belonging simply to its emanation, calling it Ishvara Maya plus avidya. In the sense and perception of finite beings, that is non-being, in a sense that it is that one beingness. For in this all lies concealed its co-eternal and coeval emanation or inherent potency. Inherent radiation, which upon becoming periodically Brahma, the male-female potency, becomes or expands itself into the manifested universe. So we have to understand this part very well. So this, if you look at Parabrahm does not create. But through Parabrahm we have Swabhavat, okay, and from Swabhavat we have Ishvara, and Ishvara is the one who creates, okay. Narayana, moving on the abstract waters of space, is transformed into the waters of concrete substance moved by him, who now becomes the manifested word or logos. Okay, so the unmanifested Parabrahm is supreme, more supreme and at a more higher level, and is the cause of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. I hope that was clear. We'll take up the discussion in the next video. See you soon.